morning, Hotep to all my friends out there. Welcome to this episode of Comedic Fortitude. My name is Clark and I am your host. And today I just wanted to update you. Last time we talked, I had just come out of reading the MRI that I had on my on my right hip. And it indicated there's a small tear. I got some bursitis and tendonitis going on in there. So for right now, the treatment plan is physical therapy twice a week with a therapist, and then I'm supposed to do the exercises twice a week on my own. So this pretty much consists of, instead of going to the gym now, I have to go to the swimming pool a couple times a week. I get in the pool and I have to simulate walking movements, basically standing on my right leg to strengthen that area, as well as extending the left leg out without having any weight bearing on it. So it's not what I'm used to doing, but you know what? At least it's still some sort of movement, and the ultimate goal here is to avoid surgery. And the other thing that's going on, and this is the kicker here, if you've seen my episode on overcoming illness or living with a chronic disease, you know about the inflammatory muscle disease I have, which was diagnosed back in 2002, and they called it polymyositis, which means inflammation of many muscles. So I've been doing all these treatments for years and struggling with times where I'm feeling pretty good and then times where I'm feeling not so good. And over the last several months, almost a year now, I've been not feeling quite up to my old self. And so to look for some further answers, I saw my rheumatologist, and she said she wanted to refer me over to OHSU, Oregon Health Sciences University. And up there, I saw a neurologist, and this is the third different neurologist I've seen over the years, actually fourth. And what he suspects, Dr. Shashin, great guy, awesome doctor, he thinks that it's more of a muscular dystrophy. Now, the funny thing about this is about 4 years ago, I went up to OHSU, completely different doctor, completely different team, and I never really felt like that they were taking the case too seriously. However, they ran some sort of genetic test to see if there was any type of genetic link to a possible muscular dystrophy. That test came back negative. So when I saw Dr. Shaheen a couple of weeks ago, and he tells me this looks like muscular dystrophy, I said, well, I've been down this road before, doctor. And he said, yeah, I was looking at the notes. He said, but you know, the test that they administered really did not check for enough of the genetic markers. Now I'm like, what? And he said, well, that one only tested for like 30 something. This one tests for several thousand. And he said, I'll be able to tell you if you have a genetic link to cancer. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I really want to know that, but you know what? It's better to be proactive and be preventative. And so I'm kind of excited actually, because the real strange thing about this, a few weeks ago I was over a good friend of mine, brother John Ashford's house. And we were sitting around talking about, energy healing. And he was telling me about the energy bars and everything. And so he asked me, he said, I know this is going to sound strange, but have you ever thought about your pain being actually a good thing? And I kind of started laughing. I said, no, it hurts too damn bad. How the hell can that be good? And he said, no, seriously, I know it sounds like a weird question, but maybe this doesn't have to affect you anymore. Maybe there's a reason why you're experiencing it right now. And I thought, okay, so I started, keeping my mind open to all possibilities, because, that's the vibrational frequency that I'm functioning on these days. And so it's so weird, because I actually left his house, and for like the next week, it was like I wasn't hurting quite as much. And I said, maybe there's something to this. So the couple days later, I actually had the appointment with Dr. Shaheen, and when he was testing me for the muscular dystrophy, first they had to do a nerve conduction study. And I don't know if any of you have ever had an EMG test. It's not pleasant whatsoever. I think this is the fourth one I've had. But this is the first one I had where they actually hook these electrodes up to you and then take this thing that's kind of like a taser and they zap the shit at you. I ain't gonna lie, that hurts. I mean, it felt like they were gonna blow the tips off of my fingers. And so anyway, they did that, about a half hour of that, and then he took these needles that are actually hooked to these wires, and they stick them inside the muscle and move it around to try to check for inflammation. And this doctor, he was so animated, he was getting excited. He said, you hear that? You see that? And I'm like, I feel it. And he said, no. He said, you hear all that going on? See, this one's angry. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know that. So what are we going to do about it? And he said, well, he said, the good news is that I can feel that there is still muscle down there. And the area that's most affected seems to be the area below my knees. I've never been able to regain any sort of muscle mass in that area. And that's why I struggle to walk, because I can't dorsiflex my feet up. I find myself tripping all the time. And my calves are very weak as well. So he said, I can treat this. And I mean, dude was like seriously animated about it. I can treat this. And I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do? He said, I'm going to give you an IV infusion if this is exactly what I think it is, but I'll let you know in a few days. And I'm thinking, well, I've had this IV thing before. It was called an immune globulin transfusion. And what it does, it's supposed to lower the level of inflammation in your body. But the side effects of that particular one is I had these massive headaches for 2 days. I've never had migraines in my life, but I'm pretty sure that's what a migraine feels like. And it's the worst experience I ever had. I didn't want to ever go through that again. So when he told me, he said, no, no, no. He said, this is a much better treatment. He said it's way more expensive. And I said, so that's probably why they didn't give it to me in the first time. They were probably trying to save money instead of like looking at all possibilities. So anyway, he said, I can get these muscles back if this is what we're going to do to treat it. And, you'll be able to a lot better. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. So all this stuff about the vibrational frequency of looking at what the possible good could come from a situation, it's like all the players are starting to come to me. It's like that positive momentum is building. And so right now, I'm so excited to thinking that possibly I'll be able to walk up hills without my cane. Possibly I'll be able to do more stuff around the house, and get my life back. My ultimate goal, I want to get back on my bike and ride. I really miss it. So for like my boy Craig Sinclair that's out there trying to get me to ride with him someday and said he would love to ride with me, buddy, we're going to make that happen, man. So anyway, I will keep you guys posted on what's going on. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Clark. Peace, love, Onk Uja Saneb, which means life, prosperity, and health. One thing I'm really considering doing is switching over to a plant-based diet. Now, this is going to be something that's going to be real tough, and if any of my viewers out there have any experience or actually use a plant-based diet, I would love to hear from you. The reason I want to do this is because I've been doing lots of reading and research, and I'm finding that a lot of the inflammatory diseases and autoimmune diseases out there are directly related to the foods that we consume. Now, I consider myself, for the most part, probably about 80% of the time, keeping my diet very clean. However, I love my meat. And just over habits over the years, I've consumed a lot of meat, especially when I was trying to add muscle back in the day. I would like eat ridiculous amounts of meat. I love my steaks, I love my burgers, I love my chicken. I don't eat pork, but it's going to be hard to let go of that beef and chicken. However, if there's a possibility that the meats that I've been eating are the root cause of this inflammation, then I'm more than willing to go ahead and switch over to a plant-based diet. So here's what I'm going to do. Over the next couple weeks, I'm going to be transitioning to try to eat as many plant-based meals as I can per day. Now, I don't want to go cold turkey on it right away, but my goal is by the end of the month to be down to the point where I'm not eating any meat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep you guys informed. I'm going to document this with the camera and everything so you can kind of see how it's going for me. I'm sure there's going to be days where I'm going to be kind of grouchy because, I love my meat. But I know once my body gets used to the new foods and, it's supposed to like make you not feel as foggy upstairs in the head and you're supposed to have a lot more energy. I'm hoping that this does the trick and reduces that inflammation. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on your YouTube channel, and I will go ahead and keep you posted. Thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode of Comedic Fortitude and want to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel, and you can find me on social media at Clark C. Boozadelic.